Hey, yo, what it is, y'all? Let's get right into it. Last video talked about the nerfs because I just need, it's not really about the nerfs. This video is meant to actually be more talking about the actual feel of Sanctum right now and, kind of in competition with other things, but also just give a good, actual look at everything now that I've spent a week playing Sanctum in trade to, well, A, get my mage blood, but B, more importantly, with intent to actually pay attention to the market and how things are going in trade as opposed to some of my initial standard testing. I have a different set of opinions now as far as things that to be aware of if you are going to farm Sanctum, things to look out for if you want to try something new here, and then some ending thoughts, right? So let's get into it. Quick recap, right? If you're not super aware or you're just newer to the topic, Sanctum got nerfed this league. More importantly, it seems to be somewhere in the ballpark of about a 30 to 40% generation rate nerf, just in terms of at base. Almost every Sanctum runner is making 30 to 40% less than they have made in previous leagues, doing pretty much the exact same thing that they've been doing. This is, of course, highly variable depending on if you were a gambling farmer, right? Gilded Chalice or Hour Divinity runs or not. But 30 to 40% seems to be the nerf, as just shown by a number of people's pilfering rings compared to, previous leagues to this league. The ratio of, we're using the ratio between Chaos and Divines to determine this, by the way. And while this is true, it's worth noting Sanctum is still profitable, just not as profitable, right? And this is kind of an important thing for most people. I make this type of video to let you guys know, if it's worth your time, if money is your goal. For me personally, Sanctum is still my favorite way to actually play the game. It's just, I can't recommend it as this premier money making strategy anymore, given where we're currently at. But a lot of what's keeping Sanctum afloat in terms of still being profitable and decently profitable is that there's just so few people running it that some things have changed because of it, right? Especially if you think about the economy in Freesia League, especially when there were just so many Sanctum runners everywhere. The economy is very different surrounding it this time. And it's important to be, aware of this difference, right? That there's a lot of things that change because of this. Let's start by looking at the actual strategies, right? The three main strategies of Sanctum are Quant, Reveals, and Merchant. If you're curious how to set those up, comprehensive guide comes with, what do you call it? The actual cheat sheets for this. And I've been meaning to put them in my Discord to make them easily accessible there as well. I'm going to do that right after I finish recording this, actually, because I've said it again. So we're going to start with Reveals and Merchants because I think these are the two that are most massively affected by the nerfs, and I think have no recompense either in the situation. The Reveal strat and the Merchant strat both predicate on ways to reliably locate divines on the Sanctum map, right? If you're just stacking up 16 reveals initially or 18 reveals, whichever one, and your just goal is to look at the vast majority of the board the second you enter the floor, identify where the divines are, path there. That's the game plan of a reveals build. And Merchant does a similar type of thing, but instead it's stacking reveals, it stacks Merchant choice and reduced cost so that you can buy out the Merchant to quickly get All-Seeing Eye to spawn in there, buy that, and then do the same thing on 3 and 4. That said, right, when your strategy is predicated entirely off of hunting divines, especially when you're using either Hour of Divinity when doing reveals or Gilded Chalice when doing merchants, you've just set your strategy into the turbo gambling space, and that's unfortunate. That strategy now just feels extremely inconsistent from what I've seen, and it's kind of unfortunate. From what I've seen from Merchant, I tested reveals and I felt terrible about it. Even worse than I already did feel about reveals. If you didn't, if you haven't watched any of my previous videos, I always say that reveals are generally finicky anyways, and you lack a lot of character power as a result of playing reveals. Whereas I feel like Merchants is just a better version of reveals. And anytime I would consider playing reveals, I would rather just be Quant. That's generally been my thought process, and that holds so much more true here than it has in previous leagues. Now, speaking of Quant, the safe strat, the Alki Go strat has yet again won. And this is a trend, I'm gonna figure out how to broach this topic on a more general sense, but I don't like how much of the game is moving away, was like what I would call like moving away from investment being worth it. And it's not that investment isn't worth it. We literally were at the time of recording last night, we were watching on stream one of my friends doing a like fairly high investment, an invested strategy, quote unquote. But it's, it's, I mean, it's just the Scarab collection that's turbo cheap and it's printing hilarious amounts of money because why not, right? But there's so little value, it feels, in quotes investing correctly into stuff now, and the quant strategy is the embodiment of that in Sanctum. You just stack quantity of relics and do nothing particularly special to your run. You just run it normally, come out at the end, get 2 relics from Lycia instead of 1 of each type, and that 2 relics it's gone up in value this patch because, in addition to the usual ones that are worth value, right? Our Divinity Gilded Chalice, you always sold to people who were farming Sanctum, which their prices are probably going to stay low like they aren't now because the gamble isn't really worth it anymore. Chains of Castigation is always valuable because of the value of Sandstorm Visage for plenty of builds, quite frankly. Even like the Rolling Magma Miner can actually make really good use of it. Original Scripture, of course, our big kahuna hit. But the thing that's making the quant strat seem so strong, I kind of just leaked it. There's Blood of Innocence. Because there are less Sanctum runners, there are less Blood of Innocence in the circulation, and less people who are running Blood of Innocence in their Sanctums to actually get Balance of Terror. And IDing Balance of Terror is how you get Wither on hit jewels, right? What is it? Inflict Wither for 2 seconds on hit. If you've cast Despair recently, that modifier on Balance of Terror is core for a lot of chaos builds, whether it be hit or poison, right? FR of Soul Sacrifice, for example, hit or poison wants that modifier, especially with its ridiculous hit count. And that's the thing that people are willing to pay for pretty much any time, even when it's not high meta, because it's just one of the only good sources of Wither on hit in the game. And so generating more Blood of Innocence is really good. If you want to use them yourself, that's also fine. The point being is just that like the value of quant has really risen. And I'm not feeling too positive about that, quite frankly. Like, I don't love that state for Sanctum because I feel like there should be reason to want to go above and beyond in your strategy, and I feel like they completely quashed that. In the at least the original 3 hierarchy. I'll talk about some other things in a moment there. Before I talk about other stuff, I do want to also note that this does affect like this general sentiment maintains even for SSF, right? It's just if you're an SSF player, Sanctum just straight up gives you less divines now, and that feels like ass. Sanctum was kind of the premier source of divines in non-trade environment or non-softcore trade environments. It was even a premier source in softcore trade, but especially outside of that, if you're like looking to farm divines for yourself, this was kind of where you went to get them. It's just going to take you longer to get them. That feels like shit. Now, I did mention that this was like the big 3 of strategies before. There could be potential other options, right? And this other option potential came through when I was looking at the gold altar, when I realized how much it actually converts, right? If you click on the gold altar, it takes half of your coins. It converts it to about, so it takes 1,000 coins. It will multiply that by some number between 9 and 12, it seems. It's not a guaranteed number amount. I had no idea if it just converts harder based on how much more gold you have. I haven't done like rigorous testing on this. I've just noticed it while playing. The times that I've clicked it, sometimes I've gotten like 8K, and sometimes I've gotten like 16, 17, 18K. There was one time I got like 25K because I had a ton of coins on me at that time in the run, right? Never really know. But it did make me think that maybe because you could actually maintain King's March without ever actually entering a map, right? The strategy that everybody's kind of flocking to right now is Blue Xantham of Scent to Kalgur. You can maintain that without ever entering a map. And so maybe there's a world where you play baseline Sanctum value and combine that with the shipment value through, hunting coins and divines and whatnot as per usual. And you would do the coin thing. I would want to probably incorporate the Arius coins when you complete a room modifier. That modifier can total up to about 70 coins per room or more, which, that's about 2,000 coins a run when you ignore other sources of coins, including like chests and whatnot. So it absolutely could, and more specifically, that's about 560 coins a floor or more, potentially 600 on the higher end of the rolls even. you will end up making a lot of gold per floor so that you could actually like sacrifice potentially on 3 floors instead of only 2 floors. Because that's another thing I've been doing. I've been sacrificing my coins for gold on 2 floors when reasonable instead of only the one at the end. And on the relics that get complete coins when complete a room, you can also get merchant choice, which could be used to hunt down more beneficial boons for the run. No idea how strong this actually is. I have not tested it yet. It's just been a thing that I've been thinking about as something that I will likely try to play around with if I keep playing Sanctum this league. Same thing along the same vein. I also thought about this. Another arrangement for this is maybe not going all in on gold, but rather instead of doing 4 quant and like either reveal or blood of innocence, there's a strategy that I always like doing where I go 3 quant, and previously it was 3 quant 2 merchant. Now we just be amping that up. 3 quant with 2 relics that say merchant and coins per room. And that could probably get me very consistently above the gold amount that I want as well. Because I found that like even regular play without relics investing in the setup, it's not too unreasonable to play to maintain somewhere in a 70 to 75k golden hour break point. And I think if I could invest a little bit into it and get it to like actually be at the 100k per hour area, like that will be significantly better. And this way I could then maintain the quant so that I'm still, hitting off of blood of innocence and whatnot. Now, all this music about gold related ideas, I do need to note that that would mean relying on King's March, which I don't know how good I feel about the extremely delayed return in value on it. It's several hours of playtime for like returns that currently do not speak to me in a very positive way, I must add. Like, I feel like it might not be all that worth it, but I'm curious because the option is there and I haven't like really explored it yet. Like, I've explored the other options that have been available to us previously, and I've always been a fan of the coin conversion strategies. Same with the coin to relic and coin to take the currency stuff that I've used in various like private leagues or BPLs and whatnot. Right? That's kind of the thoughts. Now, to round out this video, I did say earlier if I continue running Sanctum, and it's because, well, quite frankly, guys, I'm at a bit of a crossroads. I love running Sanctum, and I can absolutely make more content talking about Sanctum. It would probably not be about Sanctum itself, but more so me, or if testing strategies. If I test the gold strategies, would make it into videos, but it'd be like me showing off builds in Sanctum. But I mean, realistically, I don't know if I want to grind Sanctum in its current state. Like, I love it. I'm gonna probably play it some more anyways because there's some stuff I want to test. But like, what do y'all really like? What do y'all want to see? Because maybe if you guys give me some direction, I might find something to talk about in there. Otherwise, like, give me some direction on some other content you guys would be interested in. Who knows where we'll go with it from there. I'm mostly feeling out how you all are feeling about Sanctum, which is also your decide to sign off in the comments about your thoughts on Sanctum this league, and your experience with it, all that stuff. Because I currently just feel like this is kind of a next league waiting room type of angle, where hopefully they do come through with that rework that includes like the Sanctum specific reward that makes the mechanic feel special in terms of rewards again, because it's already special in terms of gameplay and it will always have that special place in my heart as far as a mechanic that I really just want to be doing. And to be quite frank, right, after watching my friend do he was doing 16.5s that were like 16 mod and whatnot, and just map printing, and he's made an absolute killing off of it. Like, the amount of money he's made this league makes me really jealous, because Sanctum never really gets to that height anyways. But when I watched the strategy that he was doing, I realized that like we are somehow right back to basically just boss rushing again. And I hate that. I've always loved that PoE has had these extremely intricate and interesting league mechanics, and I'm gonna make a video talking about this at some point down the line when I formulate this thought better, because I had it last night but it was not the focus of my mind. But I hate that the game is like trending towards this just generic kill monster do nothing style, when I think what really set this game apart previously has always been the mechanics that were not even like as intricate as Sanctum or Tota, but just like, there were just experiences that were special to PoE. Well, I will talk about this later. Like I said, let me know down in the comments if you guys want to see more Sanctum content or just other content. This includes, whether it be builds, analysis content, or other ideas that you guys might think be cool. Let me know. Thank you guys for watching. If you want some of this live, I do stream. I stream a couple days a week, mostly on the weekends. That link is in the description down below. You can also contact me. You can also, hang out in the Discord. That's also in the description. More importantly, come play Wordle in the Discord, because that's just like been our kick. We like started the Wordle kick like right before the league, and it's actually held really strong. And I think that's really cool. We can just keep it going. So get involved in that as well. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.